Natural Rhythms community. You know, my name is Ruff-Sloan, and we are here for 21st Century Priestess, where I get to talk to another amazing being about their spiritual journey and how they got to where they are today. And if you've been enjoying this series as much as I've been enjoying bringing it to you, don't forget to subscribe and hit like on your favorite ones, because I want to be able to go back and maybe pull some more wisdom from those ones that you especially found resonance with. And I think today is going to be one of those ones that you find special resonance with, because as we were calling in Sacred Space with my dear sister from another mister over here, Kim Macy, we were just getting chills. We were already vibing that it's going to be a great, great interview. So Kim is an amazing, amazing priestess. She was just telling me that she used to work in a corporate environment, and her soul's work actually put itself in the path of that corporate work to have her step out in her full priestess authority. She has been a facilitator and teacher for years and years and years now. She is a dynamic mom of two beautiful kids and a loving wife. And Kim, usually I start out with a question about you taking me on your spiritual journey, but I want to start differently today, because I feel like this question question just popped in and it's really, really juicy.
Awesome.
Are there any places in your priestessing that in your life that priestessing has not touched? Because when we were just talking, we were talking a little bit about how, in the corporate world, it was still kind of on the down low, just kind of hidden, but you were still doing a little bit of magic there, and you were able to talk to a few people. But at this point of your priestess journey, is there any place in your life where this has not touched yet, or where you would like to take it deeper in?
I always want to take everything deeper. So that's always a yes. And it really has extended into every facet. So I love the question, because I would say in the past, absolutely there were places that, if I was corresponding with my daughter's school, this would have been years ago, I wouldn't include my signature on the email that says Priestess, Temple of the Goddess, because I didn't want, but that was years and years ago. And I really I don't know, when I stopped hiding, you know what I mean? Like, when I stopped picking and choosing what I would say to people about what I did and who I was and all of that. But at this point in my life, it is in every aspect, and everyone in the mundane world knows what I am and what I do. They may not understand it, but they do know. And it's kind of funny, because I wind up having these deep healing conversations on park benches all the time. We're at soccer practice, or we're watching the kids play at the playground, and because part of being a priestess, a huge part, is our ability to hold safe space and hold a container. People feel it, and they're like, I don't know why I'm crying. And I'm like, I do. And I just think it's important. I think, why wouldn't it happen, in the Target? Why wouldn't it? And so, and I would say too, because of the times, as critical as they are, there's such a need for feminine power and feminine authority that isn't about separation, that isn't about us versus them. And I think that the Women's March was a real kickoff as to how I saw everything as an opportunity to bring in that power, to affirm women, to affirm, gentleness and kindness, whether it was coming through a man or a woman. So yeah, it's everywhere, girl. And people either, they have two reactions to me. They're either running away or they're embracing me. So, fine.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I love that you talk about having those park bench conversations, because my husband sometimes teases that I'm like Forrest Gump, like sitting on that park bench, and all of a sudden somebody will come over and have the conversation, or I'll be standing in line and somebody will tell me all of their business, like,
Yep.
who am I? And that actually even happened before I got
Yes.
through Priestess,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And it just, Priestess kind of amplified that. And so
Yes.
it's been a very, very interesting kind of juxtaposition of pre-Priestess and
Yep.
post-Priestess, of how you just exude that energy. Even if you think you're hiding it, you're
Yep.
not really hiding it.
People are primal. People are instinctual.
Mm.
We are operating on those levels all the time. And I think we don't, a lot of people don't think that we are, but we are sensing, is this person safe? Is this a good environment? You know what I mean? All the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so to your point of it happening even before the priestess process, that's because so many of us, Dion, we have done this lifetime after lifetime after lifetime.
Right.
And so our soul signature has that essence. So people will ask us, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, where people think you work at the place that you're at. Like, where I can find? And I'm like, it's like, don't work here. Sure, it's on that aisle.
Yeah. It happens a lot with me, with older people, that they don't know where a thing is, and I'm like, I don't know where it is, but let's go and find it.
I love it. Yes.
Because that's the other part too, that I feel like part of my priestessing is to past generations and also to future generations. So I'm always kind of playing with, what is the dynamic here? What is my place in the grand scheme of the generations? And I know, like, one thing that is really going on a whole lot in conversation with everything that is up, in addition to everything that is up, is this concept of good ancestor.
Yes.
And so from my perspective, I have a love-hate with that, and I want to get your take on it as well, because you have this deep connection with ancestry within your own self. You have this deep connection of ancestry within your priestess essence. And some of the good ancestry pieces that I have seen are from a place of, we only want to talk to healed and whole ancestors.
Oh.
And so I actually personally kind of take an affront to that.
Yeah.
Because that is like a 21st century judgment.
Yes.
And I don't know where or how or exactly what I would have done given my place in that time, in whatever skin that I would have been in at that time. I mean, we judge like, oh yes, I would never have done blah 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 blah. Well, you don't know.
You don't
know. So do you feel that ancestry is an important part of, or connecting deeper with that kind of, that essence, that we've done this multiple lifetimes? Do you feel like that's been an important part of your journey? And how do you, as a priestess and facilitator, kind of infuse that with the people who come to hear your message, to receive the medicine for their journey?
So the first question about, really how important ancestry is to me. So I come from a line of women who were secret seers and had prophetic dreams. But we didn't talk about it because we're Southern Baptist. And so we can't, we don't talk about it. But my Meemaw had it, my mama had it, I have it, my daughter has it. It's the way it is. So I have this ancestry that comes from my actual blood lineage. I also, because I lost my father when I was 10 years old, and we were very close, and I was daddy's girl, and it was, it gave me an immediate connection to the other side that I don't know I would have if I would have had that otherwise. And so I have always had this connection with the unseen realm and the other side. And then talking about who I'm descended from as far as parts of the world, right? And so Irish, Scottish, English, let's throw some Cherokee in there, which my paternal grandmother denied her entire life because it was shameful to be part, right, to be of mixed. And so anyway, so that was all denied, and it took me a while to kind of recover, and I'm still recovering those pieces. Okay, so there's the ancestry that is our blood, right, and our family. And then there's the ancestry that is our soul. So I have a Lakota aspect to my soul that I discovered on a reservation in South Dakota with medicine men and women. And I'll just, a brief story around that is that I went to the Sundance ceremony on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. Only a handful of white people. I felt, very humbled and very, because I'm aware of the genocide that European descendants have created. And so the first time I crawled into the sweat lodge, I knew the songs. I knew the words to the songs, and they were in Lakota. And I was like, how do I know this? And so that was a huge recovery for me when I was around 24. So I started working a lot with really my teacher's lineage. So Chief Crazy Bull, he's no longer on the planet. He worked with the Star Nation and the Thunder Beings. And so I learned a lot about that and really claimed that. Well, then I met this woman at a shamanic breathwork retreat, and the minute she walked in the door, I felt like she was a queen that I was supposed to serve. And I did. And she was an African-American woman from Oakland, California. And so my spirit had some memory, some connection with her. She was a queen mother of a Kemetic tradition, so rooted in Egypt. So then all of this comes in, and I'm like, what? I'm the Southern Baptist white woman going, what is happening? Because, of course, I was excited. I just wanted to explore what that was. And that is how I learned my connection with the Orishas. And so, and the Orishas, there's a whole pantheon, right? That too is such an oral tradition, such a private practice. And really, I think I feel very connected to the deep magic in that tradition. So very strong connection with Oshun, who is the goddess of sweet water and rivers and love and juice and all the yumminess, and Alegua, who shows up as a guardian of the crossroads. He is a child. He's also known as a drunk and homeless kind of energy. So he has a lot of different aspects. Okay. So then I had that connection with that ancestry. Then what you're speaking of, and then of course I should bring in the Isis connection, and then through her Magdalene, I had already had a Christ connection. Bringing in his feminine counterpart made perfect sense. When you're talking about good ancestors, I find we can learn so much from the pain, from the challenges, from the way our ancestors didn't do it maybe the way we would have thought. And I think, and I'm getting goosebumps, and I want to cry even as I'm talking about it, because we are standing on the shoulders of giants. These people survived famine, dust bowls, winters with no food. Y'all, if you watched Game of Thrones or any of those, set in those time periods, how are we standing here? Right. It is a miracle.
Right.
And while those people may not have, whatever, you're right, Dion, we are passing 21st century judgment on something that we cannot fathom.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
have water that comes out of our faucets.
Yeah.
We have, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just those simple things. So, and I want to talk a little bit about this. There is such a separation that is happening in spirituality too. And I think it goes back to this idea of like how we somehow have to be perfect
Mm.
or not messy, or we eventually are, you know, we're no longer in process, we are enlightened. And so
Right.
now it's like I have had people, you know, tell me, oh, I finished my awakening process overnight in one night. And I'm like, interesting. because because I know it to be a lifelong journey, and I know that um you know, enlightenment itself, you know, you can have conscious awareness and you can see beyond the veil, and but I feel like enlightenment itself does not sit in a place of judgment around others and their process.
Right.
At the same time, because I am a teacher and have done this for a really long time, and my job is to hold the space for that authentic truth,
Mm-hmm.
I would do a disservice to my people if I don't point out that this journey is messy. It
Mm-hmm.
takes it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time. There's gonna be depression involved. And the reason why is because our society and our culture is so dysfunctional. I don't know how we can't feel that deep sorrow,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and and I've, you know, been paralyzed by it. I mean, the last time I saw you, Dion, I was in a cocoon of dark and depressed, and
Right. Right.
you know, and I could only show up, and this was at the Global Goddess Gathering, I could only show up how I could show up.
Right.
And to not have judgment around myself, that's the work, man. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how this circles back to good ancestor, or, you know, this concept that, you know, somehow we don't connect with the ones that had the most challenges. Oh, I need the ones that have had the most
Yeah.
challenges.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because they have tools and wisdom that they're able to translate to
Yeah.
me. So, yeah,
And I
but that's
feel like
it.
they, because they are beyond the veil, they can see things a little bit differently. Like they could probably pass on the wisdom of this is how I did it, and this is how I should have done it, or this is how I would have liked to be able to impart this wisdom to you.
Yes, yes, I
Mhm.
think so.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, and to make those connections, I think there's a lot of pain for women around, you know, sometimes their mothers weren't mothers.
Hmm.
Sometimes their grandmas were the ones inflicting pain. And so what, you know, what do we do with that? How do we heal that? And I've done a lot of work with women around healing that relationship, whether your mother is embodied or not.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but I think there has to be an open line there, because again, there's a wisdom that we're missing if we say, "Oh, I only want the best of the," you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. You talked a little bit here about how um, uh, it's sometimes this work is messy and it's painful. And so, my question for you is, how do you support yourself when you are in the muck? Like, do you specifically have go-to tools that you are continually using, continually refining, and continually feel like they are of value? And second question on that, what do you do when your go-to tools don't feel like they're working anymore?
Exactly. You know what it is, Dion, is I've found uh, when I'm in the muck,
Hmm.
I will go to the tools. And when they're not bringing me what I need, which usually is just a sense of peace. I mean,
Mm.
I I never struggled with anxiety. That was not a thing. Depression that I had was always situational, right?
Mm-hmm.
A family member suicide attempt, deep betrayal, whatever, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then I started having anxiety that was so intense, and this would have been 2015 that started kind of coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the tools that I always go to are pulling my spirit into my body first,
Mm-hmm.
because we are multidimensional by nature. What we don't realize is we're existing in all these places at once. And if I don't call myself back, I'm going to feel that energy drain. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to feel just like what you're doing. We're connecting here this way. People will connect to this video and they're going to have a little essence of Dion and they're going to have a little essence of Kim, which
Mm-hmm.
is great. Have that essence.
Yeah.
That so a tool there is that when people tap into it, that they're tapping into the infinite font,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily Dion's personal or Kim's personal, but the infinite font that we connect to, right?
Yes.
Does that
Right.
make
Right.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then it's not a drain on us. So one of my big practices is calling myself here and imagining that I'm calling my energies in from all the places they exist, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
clients or people reading the blog or whatever, it doesn't matter. Wherever I exist, I call it here. And then I will open my crown. That's a big practice. We don't realize how often we close that off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do a physical, it's this. I open and I imagine that I'm bringing that light in. It's a big
Mm-hmm.
practice and it feels
Mm-hmm.
really good. Like you can feel it even when you're doing it. It's like, oh, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
prayer is a big deal. Partnership with my mama nature is a big deal. I'm looking outside because, there's so much that I can just get by plugging into Mother Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do that. But like I said, there's times that those tools don't work anymore. Why? Because it's time to up level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's time to get additional tools. Why is that? Because everything is constantly changing. The work that I do with people and what they're experiencing is constantly changing. So if I'm not up leveling my own personal tools, I'm not going to be ready when this person comes in and is like, that's not working. That's not working. That's not working. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's wild, girl, to see because I'll be in the muck of it and in the grind, and I'm just like, I'm tired of it. I don't want to do it.
Right. Right.
I mean, seriously, it gets really burdensome to just show up and do our own work.
Yeah.
And then, girl, I'll have somebody come to the office and they will share with me the exact thing that I've been working on for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I have all these tools.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I
And I think
like
there's like a
open.
saying yes to that, like
Mm-hmm.
giving yourself permission to be in the muck because our society doesn't give us permission to be in the muck and try and figure out the tools, but that's where the juicy learning is as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when I'm on the other side of it, I'm always so grateful. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. When I'm in it, I am kicking and screaming and resistant, and I'm a brat. I'm not going to lie. I am a full brat about it. Um, but what I have learned with each deep dive is really loving myself through it and being like,
Mm,
even though I feel less than, because I'm not doing as much as I think I can. I
mm,
completely and totally love and accept myself.
mm,
One of the attributes of priestesses, light workers, healers, is we know the solutions, and so we feel like if we're not contributing, I'll speak to myself. I feel like if I'm not contributing at that mass level that I know I can,
mm-hmm,
there's no value.
mm,
There's no value. If I'm not contributing, there's no value. And what I've learned is the contribution is doing the work on myself, valuing myself enough to take that downtime, to say no to the social engagements or even the spiritual engagements while I'm healing is interesting, because I started working with this gold cocoon where I would just wrap myself in that energy while I was beating myself up, while I was like, you're so
Wow.
lazy, get out of bed, look at you. So I would combat it by focusing on that gold cocoon.
Mhm.
Well, I
Mhm.
tried that again this year, and it didn't give me the peace. And I was like, what the heck? So guess what it wanted to do? Suddenly I'm running gold figure eights through my heart. So it would
Mm.
loop. So instead of this, it started looping through my heart, and I started running these figure eights. I never know why. And then the next thing you know, there will be a reason. I'll have a
Mm.
conversation. I give it to somebody else and it works for them.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
Here's what we're avoiding, Dion. Everyone. I see it. I see it all over Instagram. I see it all over. I see it all over. This, the stickiness of the work, the sheer terror of being in that dark night. It's like, we'll talk to you after you're out of it. We'll talk to you to sign you up for a million things while you're in the beginning of it, but there's not an ongoing support for, yeah, I'm still depressed.
Mm. 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 Mhm. Mhm.
What do I do? How do we, how are we supposed to assimilate these shootings? This, this, I heard someone call it a cold civil war. We are in oh, it gives me goosebumps, cold civil war.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and for those of us who are of African descent, I can't even imagine. For myself, I'm like, I wanna, I simultaneously wanna fight and like change it and heal it, and I wanna hide. And
Yeah.
it's just like, what do you do? And so I feel like we're losing an opportunity when we only show the before and after,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 Because it's chaotic before you get to the after. It truly is.
and then and then you question yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, for myself, every time I went down for whatever reason, I would question the priestess path. This isn't what, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I should go back to school. I should go back to this. I should go back to that. Da 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 da. You know, there's one thing of finding additional tools. There's
Mhm.
another piece around what I told myself, which is, if I just stay out of this mystical realm that's so formless, I can get into something that's formed and
Mm.
approved of by society.
Yeah.
Then I'll be safe. Then
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
be comfortable.
Yeah.
Then there won't be this, this stuff I'm in. And I made a commitment to myself years ago. I would never again question the priestess expression, that I would never again question my sacred work.
Mm.
I can look at ways that I'm being called to serve, but the overarching of like, is this the right path? You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
I just told myself, you're done with that. You're done questioning it. It's, I know where it's coming from. We have been burned. We have been hanged. We have been hunted. We remember it.
Mhm.
Whether Kim Macy, felt those things, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
that
Or
past
if it's
life.
generational trauma, and it is, we all have generational trauma.
Absolutely. And this is something that I've been working on for a while, just in, here, of how to liberate those of African descent of the slavery, the oppression, the kidnapping, the, all of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And ritualistically, free women of that. And I felt like because I was white, that's not my job.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
did find a couple of women who are interested in, and who are African American, who are interested in learning how to do that. Working through it with me so that they can go do it for
Mhm.
everybody.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Um, and so I say that because I understand women being afraid of their power. We've
Mm.
been taught this.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's we're so powerful that we've been taught to hate the very temple
Mm. Mhm.
that
Mhm.
holds that power.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a distraction.
It is a
You know,
distraction.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The weight
they're
loss.
distracting us. It's the
Yes.
external things out trying to distract us until we perpetuate the distraction.
I've done it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I must need to change this about myself or that about myself. And it's deeper. It's
Mhm.
not, this is about your feminine power.
Mhm.
And we don't have good examples of it because everyone's trying to survive in a patriarchal structure.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when we see women, you know, speak behind other women's backs, it it can cause us to doubt the safety and security of being with other women.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had so many women come to circles who say, I'm a guy's girl. Like I hang
Yeah,
out with the guys because women, we don't ever get along. And so really like unpacking and healing and how can we how can we have faith first in our own feminine power because that's where it all comes from,
sure.
and then how can we help others have faith in that understanding that we have to walk through the fear. We have to walk through the fire of that. Girl, it's a $1 trillion industry to get us to hate our bodies.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and they're pure magic. I mean,
yeah,
we are, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have one last question for you, Kim. This has been really a rich, rich interview. What does it mean to you to be a priestess in the 21st century?
My work is to hold a really clear personal vibration.
Mm,
And that's work. And it's that I'm holding a container for myself so that I can hold that container for others. I am a woman of service, and so I have tried to work on container, meaning being able to contain it for myself first. I'm also aware that it's just in me to give it. At once I learn
mm,
it, once I master something, whatever, it's in me to give it. Um, I do a lot of cosmic work in terms of, when there is pain in the collective,
mhm.
um, you know, holding the people of Earth, holding the waters of Earth. I'm not able to always go to all the marches and the activist, all the ways that I can be an activist, but really valuing that I can make a medicine bundle for this tragedy. I can light candles for these people, um and then just honestly showing up, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
and being okay when I can't show up at the level that I feel called.
Yeah, yeah.
Girl, it's just love, love, love. And, sometimes I have to disengage physically
Yeah, yeah.
so that I can hold that love. And then I'm also obviously, let's get in physical contact with each other and have these juicy connections. So, it's honestly holding sacred space for myself and those that I'm able to,
Yeah.
and just mining my own fears and pain. Those are messengers. They're telling me what the people are going through,
Mm, mm, mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Why did we incarnate? You and I have been on this planet many, 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 many times.
Yeah, yeah.
Why did we come back this time?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's to hold that frequency of love and not separation, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's trying to get us to separate.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, 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 yeah. Beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful. Kim, thank you so much, girl, for being with me today. Kim and I had a really deeply personal connection, like had never seen each other in the physical until a couple of years ago when we had both had the privilege and the blessing to be at the same space and the same time at Global Goddess Gathering. And we just had instant soul recognition. Like people were like, "Oh, how long have you known Kim?" And it's like, let me see, 2 days. Like, how long have we been there? And same for her. So I just, this is my sister, like I said, from another mister, and I'm just deeply, deeply grateful to get to share some of her essence with you. I told you this was going to be a juicy interview. Told you, we just knew it. We already knew it. So if you want to get more of your own juicy connection with Kim Macy, I've got her links in the description box down below so that you can get
Yeah.
in contact with her, because you probably going to want to have another little deeper conversation of your own with her. Kim, again, thank you so much for this. And Natural Rhythms community, try to elevate the love and above vibration in your own life, however that looks for you. Do take good care.
Oh, thank you, Dion. Thank you for your courage and your strength and your beauty.
Thank you.
All right, sister.